The Baltimore Ravens ruthlessly robbed the NFL with their selection of Mike Green. We talk about that. The Ravens taking Emery Jones and how he fits in with Baltimore's offensive line and where they could look on day 3. All that and more coming up on this bonus edition of Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for being here, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day, your first listen each and every single day. We're free and available on all podcasting platforms, including in video form on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe to the channel, and an audio form where you can follow along and subscribe as well. We're a 5-day-week Ravens podcast, so Monday through Friday, we have that regularly scheduled content for you, but we also do bonus episodes like today's on the weekends sometimes when there are headlines, and there's certainly headlines to talk about today. We also go live after every Ravens game, after every piece of Ravens big news. We've had 2 awesome draft live streams after the fact. We're going to have a third today after day 3, so be sure you stay tuned for that as well. And thank you so much to the everydayers, the first-time listeners, and if you're in the middle, thank you as well. Today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com. That's Locked On NFL. Terms and conditions apply. Day 2 in the books for the Ravens, and all I can really say is, wow, the Ravens take Mike Green at number 59, edge out of Marshall. They then add Emery Jones, offensive lineman from LSU, at number 91. We're going to talk about all that here today. We're going to talk about how the Ravens robbed the NFL here. Mike Green goes to Baltimore. We'll talk about why he was there in the first place and just what he brings and why the Ravens felt comfortable taking him at 59, because obviously there was the on-field aspect and the off-field aspect. Then I'm going to dive into Emery Jones a little bit, who was that pick in the 3rd round, how he fits into the Ravens offensive line group, and just how the Ravens plan to use him starting off. And then finally, we still have another day to go here in the draft at the time of this recording. We don't know who the Ravens are going to take, and they have 8 day 3 picks. So we'll talk about some guys and positions who could be candidates for those. Mike Green to Baltimore. Man, all I can say is this was a cold-blooded pick by Eric DeCosta and the Ravens. I mean, let's separate. I want to talk about both on-field and off-field. We did this on the live stream yesterday, but just want to dive into it again. On the field, Mike Green is a top 10 to 15 player in this class, and it's not really close. And when you talk about the Ravens and them needing a guy in the pass rusher room, I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't think I've ever felt uncertain about a position in one moment and then absolutely certain, like sure-handed certain in another moment. The second Mike Green was picked by Baltimore, all of my pass rushing concerns went away. Like, that's how good I think Mike Green is on the field, and that is how good that he shows up on tape and how incredible he is as a player, where it's not just a pass rushing thing. You know, the pass rush is one aspect of it, but he is a great run defender as well. The stats back that up all across the board. I mean, you just want to start with some of his run stats. He had a 90.2 run grade in 2023, 92.4 in 2024, which was second among all NCAA edge defenders. He had 49 run stops, which was the most among edge rushers, and a 9.4 run stop rate. Not to mention, hey, he kind of had 17 sacks last year, which only led the nation. Nothing too crazy. This is an incredible value. This, in my opinion, is one of the biggest steals of the draft in the last couple of seasons. And yes, he was there for a reason, which we'll get into. But the Ravens clearly felt comfortable enough with everything that they researched and whatnot and looked into with Mike Green to take him at 59, where at 27, maybe it was a bit of an iffy pick for them. And they didn't really want to do that with Malaki Starks on the board, who, again, they have raved so much about since he was drafted on Thursday night. But to have both Malaki Starks and Mike Green, get them in the same draft. I mean, these are two, a lot of people had both those guys in top 15 talks, top 20 talks, and the Ravens get Starks at 27 and Mike Green at 59. You look at the Ravens pass rushing group right now. Mike Green adds an element to that. He has superstar potential. He is a guy that has a high floor and an extremely high ceiling. The Ravens, 2 safe picks in Malaki Starks and Mike Green. But I don't mean safe in terms of like, oh, they're just going to be kind of average. They're really high floor right now, but low ceiling. No, these are guys that can already give you instant impact like Nate Wiggins did last year, like Roger Rosengarten did last year. They can give you that instant rookie impact. But there is so much more room to grow for both those guys. And that is exactly the type of player the Ravens needed. They got that type of player at 2 more positions of need. You want to throw Wiggins and Rosengarten in that conversation. If everything goes well for Mike Green and Malaki Starks, that is 4 high-level instant impact players in their rookie seasons. And that is what Baltimore needs with Lamar Jackson's deal, with Derrick Henry's extension that's supposed to come up, with other extensions that are coming down the pipeline. You have the potential to have an elite corner, an elite tackle, an elite safety, and an elite edge rusher all on rookie deals for the next 3 to 5 seasons. And 3 of those positions are premium, where teams dream of having production like the Ravens got from Wiggins and Rosengarten out of those guys on those contracts with positions that are so premium. So Mike Green comes in at Owe, Van Noy, Green, Tavius Robinson, Disa Isaac, and David Ajabo. I really think that Mike Green is the perfect final infinity stone into this Ravens pass rush because look, Malaki Starks gets taken. They don't take Mike Green in the first round. You're like, okay, is there really an instant impact player that could provide you enough juice to really feel comfortable and confident, or is there still going to be some I don't know about this, I don't know about that? Mike Green instantly fills in. By the time week 2 rolls around, he might be Baltimore's top pass rusher. That is how good he is on the field. And you look at some of the strengths that he possesses. I mean, honestly, I don't really know where to start. We talked about the run game, but obviously as a pass rusher, he has such a high motor. He plays with tenacity on every single snap, which is something that shows up on the tape. He goes hard 110%. That is what a Raven is. He has that speed to power conversion, which is awesome. And sometimes offensive linemen can't even get their hands on him quickly enough before he has a devastating pass rushing move, and he has those devastating moves in a wide array of forms and varieties. His spin move is particularly devastating. If you watch his game against Ohio State, which was one of his audition tapes against a Power 5 school, he absolutely dominated that game, had an incredible spin move that's, trending on social media right now. During the Senior Bowl, he absolutely knocked that out of the park. There's a clip of him springboarding Josh Connerly, who was a first-round pick of the Commanders. So this is a guy that him right now who stands at about 6'3", 251, 32-inch arms, he fits what the Ravens were looking for. He has the athleticism as well. He's explosive. He can bend around. He can power through you. He is, not just a one-trick pony in terms of pass rush and in terms of what he can do in the run game. The outside spin is the one that I mentioned. That's kind of the go-to move, but he also can go to the inside shoulder, which you see a bunch pop up in the tape. He has a hezzy move, which is nice. And the acceleration surprises offensive linemen. They get back on their feet and, they get into their stance, and Mike Green is already out leveraging you, which is something that is very rare in today's NFL. And I think the things that Green has to improve on is, he can certainly add a little bit more strength. I think that will help him. Sometimes he can get washed out, but it's very rare for him. There aren't really a lot. That's what I'm saying with Starks and Green. There aren't these glaring weaknesses that you're like, oh, he needs to improve on this. And if he doesn't, it's going to be awful. Or before he improves that, he's not going to be able to play well. There is so much that Mike Green does well. The production is there. The traits are there. The ceiling is there. The floor is there. Everything is there with Mike Green. But what else is there are the off-field allegations. Mike Green, assault allegations both in high school and in college. Now, both of those cases have been suspended, and the Ravens have done their due diligence. Eric DeCosta talked about the allegations. He was asked multiple times about what they did to feel comfortable with him and taking him at the spot that he did. DeCosta said, quote, "I would say we investigated the situation very thoroughly. I think we have the best scouts in the NFL. We've got great scouts to go into Virginia, to go into Marshall. We've got people that work for us investigating different incidents with players all the time, and we felt comfortable taking him. I think he's a talented player. We understand the severity of what these allegations were, of course, but doing our due diligence, We were comfortable with Mike. I personally spent 1.5 hours with him in my office. I think the best is yet to come with him, and I'm glad we got him. DeCosta also said that people from Mike Green's team, the things from their circle in his circle were positive. And, again, I kind of take that with a grain of salt because I would kind of want to hear from Mike Green's circle and outside circle, but that's what Eric DeCosta had to say. John Harbaugh said the process was exhaustive, so they clearly felt comfortable enough. Obviously, this is in light of the Justin Tucker allegations as well, so they've been navigating that this offseason, but they had to have felt very comfortable with what they saw, what they heard, what Mike Green was telling them, and that was the reason why. We know Baltimore's kind of been, they never had a zero tolerance policy. That was made clear. The team released that, and Eric DeCosta has said now with the Tucker allegations that they'd never had a zero tolerance policy, but they were kind of acting like they did, especially John Harbaugh's quote a couple of years ago on Deshaun Watson going viral for John Harbaugh being proud about that zero tolerance policy, which never existed. But again, the Ravens and everything, these allegations for Mike Green or against Mike Green, if they didn't feel comfortable, they wouldn't have made the pick. And on the field, this is a player that is going to make an instant impact in Baltimore. I'm absolutely convinced of it. But the reason he was there, the reason that the Ravens had the opportunity to take him at 59 and even probably 27 too, was the fact that these allegations that exist. Apparently, according to reports, teams took him off their board completely when the allegations, kind of started making their waves around circles. And some teams, even though, there weren't any, and there wasn't anything developed from them, at least not at the time of this recording, some teams took him off their board completely because they felt like two separate incidents was putting him in bad spots, and they didn't want a player that was putting himself in a bad spot like that. So the Ravens obviously did not. He was on their board, and obviously the talent is there for Mike Green to be an instant impact player, which John Harbaugh did say he expects Mike Green and Malaki Starks to be instant impact players on defense. So look, teams didn't want Mike Green. A lot of teams didn't want Mike Green, but you know what? The Ravens did. And, everything on the field from Mike Green screams superstar. The Browns have Myles Garrett. The Steelers have TJ Watt. The Bengals have Trey Hendrickson. The Ravens did not have that superstar. But you know what? In Mike Green, they felt comfortable enough taking a player, sliding due to off-field concerns, adding him to their pass rushing group, and on the field, Mike Green is going to be a beast for Baltimore. So the Ravens, in my opinion, this was a robbery of the NFL. Now, part of it was teams didn't want him, but the Ravens, they said, hey, if you don't want him, we did our research, we did our due diligence, we felt comfortable, and that's what the Ravens ended up doing. So Green is a member of the Ravens, and coming up, we'll talk about the other newest member of the Ravens, Emery Jones, how he fits in with Baltimore's offensive line, and why I think it's actually a sign that Daniel Falele and Andrew Voorhees are going to start the year for Baltimore. So be sure to stay tuned. We got a lot coming up on Locked On Ravens. First, this show is brought to you by LinkedIn. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Post your job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires, and LinkedIn is your place for all of your job and hiring needs. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Back on Locked On Ravens, Kevin Oestreicher here with you on this Saturday, leading up to day 3, or maybe it already is day 3, or maybe it's after day 3 when you watch this episode of Locked On Ravens here. It's a bonus episode on Saturday. Really pumps. The Ravens have added 3 high-quality football players to their roster. Malaki Starks at 27, Mike Green at 59, and Emery Jones at 91. 8 picks on day 3. We'll see what they do. And in the final part of the show, we'll talk about some guys who could be options for Baltimore. And if you're listening after the fact, you can see how right I was with my predictions. I went 0 for 2 on my predictions yesterday. I thought it was going to be Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State in the second round, and then I was going to go Charles Grant. Was my prediction in the third round. I got the positions right, at least. I got the positions right. Edge and then offensive line. Just wrong players. I don't think anybody, or at least not a lot of people, could have foreseen Mike Green, one, actually falling to 59, and then two, the Ravens actually taking him. It's new. Like, usually the Ravens, they shy away from prospects with those types of red flags, as people call them. And it just was different. The Ravens have navigated the Tucker situation, and obviously for Mike Green, those allegations against him as well. It's another aspect. So we'll see. And, Green, even at the scouting combine, said, quote, "There's accusations out there. I've never been questioned. I've never been asked. You know what I'm saying?" So Mike Green was open about it at the combine. And for him, he denied the allegations, said he's done nothing wrong. Neither he nor Emery Jones were made available to reporters on Friday. And even before he departed from Virginia, he said no one ever asked him a question about it. So it was just accusations that caused him to leave from there. So talent is obviously through the roof with Mike Green, but even John Harbaugh talked about the coaches and administrators and teammates at Marshall were fully supportive of everything he had done there. Same at UVA. It wasn't any different at UVA. We made a decision based on what we felt was fair. So that is what the Ravens, their situation was. And the Ravens finished the year in sacks second. They were second in sacks, but pass rush win rate, pressure rate, those were all not up to the same level. So yes, the sack numbers were great, but you look a little deeper and the pass rush really wasn't as good, or at least not as consistent as it needed to be. And that's a big reason why Mike Green is now a member of the Ravens, especially his motor and relentlessness. That is also motor, relentlessness. Those are two qualities that Emery Jones has, the Ravens' third round pick, 91 out of LSU. Now, I would have probably taken a different player here. Not that I don't like the pick. I actually do like the pick of Emery Jones. But Marcus Moe was there and Charles Grant was there. 2 picks earlier, Wyatt Malone went to the Jaguars. Emery Jones is still a quality player and someone that I think can help Baltimore out, just even initially as a swing tackle, and that is where the Ravens have said that they plan to use Emery Jones to start out. They also said that he could kick inside the guard, so that's not out of the realm of possibility. But the way they were talking about him, I think that this is going to be Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falele at the guard spots. And as I mentioned on the live show yesterday, or I guess earlier this morning, that scares me a little bit. It scares me. Voorhees is a wild card. He had his moments before getting injured last year, never got his spot back from McCary after he went down. Falele improved as the year went on, but he also had moments throughout the year that were so egregiously bad, and he lost them, actively lost them games early in the season, and had other moments of him being too slow, not being able to get out into space. Emery Jones, when you look at him, he does have the athleticism and his natural ability with the length. Right now, all the measurements, 6'5", 315, 34 and a fourth inch arms for him. He's a patient player, but he has a very high football IQ. He's a very smart person, and he is able to dictate the speed of the game that he wants to play at. And people who are rushing across from him, he plays with that relentless motor, but he also has a plan. It's not like he is reckless. There's a difference between being intense and just being reckless with your intensity. I think that Emery Jones, sometimes he can be a little off balance, but the out of controlness comes with the intensity, but it's not all the time. And for him, I think the big thing is just playing with confidence, right? That's the big thing, more poise and confidence, where he'll have those reckless moments. I'm not saying they are absent from Emery Jones in his game. You certainly see on tape and on film that there are moments of, if you want to call it weakness there for Emery Jones. But I still think that he's someone that, with George Warhop, with Ronnie Stanley and other guys, Ronnie Stanley, I think, is a mentor to Emery Jones, is really going to help him. But the thing that I really like about Emery Jones is the fact that in the run game, he's never out of control. The reason that Emery Jones fell to 91 was because he was a highly touted prospect. He had a great year in 2023. He kind of fell off a little bit in 2024. He was getting beat and, just didn't have the same year. He was a highly touted prospect. The thing that I'm noticing with these Ravens picks, though, is yes, Mike Green was a smaller school player at Virginia and Marshall, but 2 of your 3 picks with Malaki Starks and Emery Jones, and kind of the trend Derrick DeCosta has formed, is more often than not, they do like the bigger school prospects that have played in a lot of big games. And look, LSU, I know LSU is a far cry from what they were in 2019 with that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson squad. I understand that. But still, you're playing against good opponents. And while I don't think the opponent level that you play dictates how good you are, like, again, Mike Green is a heck of a player, and he didn't play against the biggest opponents every single week. To me, the tools that Emery Jones has, I'm okay with taking a swing on that. The thing that I'm a little worried about is if it is Fadlele and Voorhees and those guys aren't ready, or there's not, because if they do, they're banking on the improvements. If there aren't the improvements, it's doing Lamar Jackson a disservice, it's doing Derrick Henry a disservice, and it's doing the fan base a disservice, because they did let Patrick McCarry go, and I was fine with that. I thought McCarry had moments, but he also had not so great moments. I think that the issue, though, is that, Tate Ratledge went at 57, 2 picks before Baltimore picked at 59. And again, knowing that the Ravens felt comfortable with Mike Green, and that was something that they wanted to do. If you're talking on-field prospect, Mike Green was the pick there 10 times out of 10. Like, it just is what it is. But then you have Wyatt Malum going to Jacksonville 2 picks earlier. I would have traded up for him. I just feel like this is the second year in a row that we've had this happen. And I don't know if stuff will come out about this, but last year the Ravens wanted a guard in the 3rd round. They did not trade up. They wanted to wait. They did wait. In guards, there was a guard run before they picked. And like Dominic Pooney went to San Francisco and other guys went, and they didn't have an option, so they took Adisa Isaac. And I think it was a mistake for them not to get aggressive there with some of their picks. I think it was a mistake, again, not to get aggressive here. Now, there were offensive linemen like Emery Jones, Charles Grant, Marcus Bowe that were worthy of that 91st overall pick, but I don't think that Emery Jones has that instant impact ability that a Wyatt Malum would have had, or a Tate Ratledge would have had, or some of the other prospects in the 2nd or 3rd round, which, again, is fine. It's not like the pick is a bad pick, but it also probably, to me at least, signals that Daniel Faalele and Andrew Voorhees will probably be the starting guards here in 2025, and it has the potential to it's boom or bust, in my opinion. Both guys will have good moments, but it's those bad moments where are they going to be loud? A lot of teams in the AFC North and the AFC in general have added on the defensive line, with Cleveland adding Mason Graham and the Bengals adding Shamar Stewart, Steelers adding Derek Harmon, the Bills go with TJ Sanders, the Chiefs get Omar Norman Lott, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of good defensive linemen in this class. A lot of them have went to the AFC. So, Tyler Linderbaum can't do it all himself on the interior. He can't do it all himself. It's going to be really important. And hey, look, my ideal situation here would be there's an open competition between Voorhees, Emery Jones, and Daniel Faalele for those guard spots. And if Voorhees and Faalele win those, then that's awesome, because then it proves that they are the best options on the roster. But are they going to be what the Ravens need there? You feel confident in Ronnie Stanley, confident in Tyler Linderbaum, confident in Roger Rosengarten. It is the other two, those guard spots, that you are feeling a little uncertain about. So we'll see how it all unfolds for Baltimore. But I think the Jones pick still, it's a fine pick where he's going to need a little coaching up, going to need a little teaching, maybe going to need a little more time. But he can still, if there's an injury, come in and play a couple of games for you because of his length and the motor that he plays with. He's good at mirroring rushers. He's really good at understanding the rushers' pass rush plan. So to me, if the right coaching presents itself, Emery Jones, I think, is able to evolve into a really good player. He has the work ethic, I believe, to do it as well. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But coming up in the final part of the show, we'll talk about where Baltimore could end up going on day 3 with their selections, 8 of them to be exact. So be sure to stay tuned. A lot coming up on Locked On Ravens. First, the show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, we get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. I'm a big Denver Nuggets guy, and they are down 2-1 to the Clippers right now. Clippers on FanDuel right now are 6-point home favorites. So it checks out after the Nuggets lost by a bajillion points in game 3. So if you feel good about the Clippers, be sure to pick your side over on FanDuel. Or hey, if you want to bet the road underdog in the Nuggets, you can do that as well. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. We are back. Our final segment of Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still talking with you here on this Saturday. Day 3 of the draft going to kick off here in a matter of hours at the time of this recording. But maybe day 3 has already happened for you, and you want to see my predictions for Baltimore on day 3. So appreciate everybody for being here. The Ravens take Mike Green at 59 and Emery Jones Jr. at 91 on day 2. Green slips to Baltimore because of his off-field allegations. Teams had him off their board. Baltimore gets an absolute steal. Honestly, one of the biggest steals I mentioned over the last handful of years in this draft. And that was the pick. And again, on the field, Baltimore got a top 10 player, top 15 player in this class, which will be an instant impact guy at a position that they really, really, really need. I mean, look, you're talking about trades for like Micah Parsons, like this, that. Now I'm good. Like, I'm good if we're being honest. Like, Mike Green entering the fold here, that is how instant impact I think that's going to be. And obviously, Emery Jones is a solid swing piece, depth piece, where apparently, there's a possibility he plays some guard early on for Baltimore, but feels like they really view him more as a swing guy. Let's look into day 3 a little bit now, though. The Ravens have 8 picks. I would probably assume that they will trade a couple of those, maybe go up for a guy if a guy still is there. Obviously, the big storyline is Shedeur Sanders, who is still available in round 4. But again, that's just a waste of an asset for Baltimore, in my opinion, because they don't need a quarterback. So it wouldn't make sense either way. I could see them doubling up on the offensive line. Marcus Bowe, who I have been talking about. You could also look at a couple of other players that make sense. Maybe a Cam Williams out of Texas. You could also go on I guess an edge rusher, you could double up there as well. Jack Sawyer, Braden Swinson. But I feel like you already have 7 guys or 6 guys in that group. So I probably wouldn't anticipate them taking another edge guy. But maybe for Jack Sawyer, who's like 6'5", you would feel comfortable putting him on the D-line. I think D-line is definitely where they need to go here. So, Jordan Farmer makes sense out of Florida State, or Jordan Phillips, Ty Alexander, Anais Peebles, J.J. Pegues. Any of those guys make sense for Baltimore, in my opinion. You could look at a wide receiver. I feel like they could definitely add a wide receiver here. Jalen Royals is an option that they could go with. You could probably take a Xavier Restapro, which would make sense. Other than that, I probably think they're just going to try to fill out other needs. Corner is probably one where Kobe Bryant or Jabbar Muhammad makes sense for them in the 4th or 5th round. I don't see them doubling up on safety. I feel like they have enough there. I could definitely see kicker. I feel like they're going to take a kicker. I could possibly see a late round running back or tight end, although I'm not sure that either of those guys would make the roster outright. I think 4 tight ends is too many. I think 4 running backs is too many, but 5 is most definitely too many there. So if they like Jordan James enough for Dylan Sampson or, any of those guys, it's possible, but we'll see. I think guys that I would like the Ravens to pick: Marcus Bowe, Kobe Bryant, Jabbar Muhammad. I think Jack Sawyer would be good. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina is an edge rusher, is also an intriguing option. I like Jalen Royals a lot. I think he's someone that kind of fills a role for Baltimore here. He's not the tallest guy in the world, standing at just 6 feet, but, him coming out of Utah State, I feel like could be a really solid option for them overall. So, 8 picks. It makes sense for me to get that down to 7 or 6. It fills out the needs. You can even push some of the picks down to 2026 if you need to. I just don't think that you're going to, I don't know. I mean, I feel like also an inside linebacker is an option for them as well. So Teddy Buchanan, Jeffrey Bassa out of Oregon. They'll probably take an inside linebacker. So here's my short list of positions. I think it's going to be 1 inside linebacker, 1 kicker, 1 wide receiver. That's already 3 picks. I think you're going to get 2 defensive linemen. So that is 5 picks. I think they will maybe double down on either offensive line or edge. If they double down on both, that's 7 picks. And then, maybe they double down on inside linebacker. That would make it 8. Maybe they double down on safety. That would make it 8. tight end or running back. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like that 8th pick, and this is what I was feeling in my mock drafts too. That 8th pick, it's kind of like, where do I go with this? There's not enough space on the roster. So I think that if there's a guy that's falling or they feel like they really like a guy, trading 1 or 2 of those later round picks, condensing them and moving up makes a lot of sense. That's what I thought they should have done in the 4th round when they had like 6 4th round picks. And obviously some of those 4th rounders worked out and some of them didn't. But I know Eric DeCosta's philosophy is take a lot of swings. You're going to hit on more guys if you get more swings. And I understand that philosophy. But it's kind of like what I wish they did with Wyatt Malum, who got taken 2 picks before. Just sacrifice one of those later round picks, trade up, secure the guy. And that, in my opinion, is definitely what they should do, especially because after the first couple of big names go off the board, there really isn't a lot where it's worth trading up for. So go get a guy that's worth trading up for, move off 1 or 2 of your picks. Then I think that is the way to go for the Ravens. So exciting day ahead here. You've already witnessed all day 3. I hope it was an exciting day, but be sure to check back in here on Locked On Ravens after the draft. We're going to be going live here probably about 30 minutes or so after the fact, after round 3 concludes. We'll do a full draft breakdown, talk about day 3, who the Ravens ended up taking, and then we're going to be diving into a lot of other things surrounding undrafted free agency because we know that Baltimore loves those undrafted free agents. Don't we know it? So we'll be diving into all that here on Locked On Ravens after day 3 concludes later today. Then tomorrow we'll have a bonus episode out on Sunday, 6 a.m. Eastern time, and then it's back to regularly scheduled programming on Monday. So a lot of content coming your way. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button in video form and follow along in audio form for 5 days a week of daily Ravens coverage. And I'll see you right back here soon on Locked On Ravens.